Coming up, it's the intriguing narrative behind one of the most surreal songs of the rock era. Crafted by a trailblazing musical performer known as the Chrome Nun, this composition draws inspiration from the whimsy of a bedtime story that this singer was told as a child every single night. She found some hidden messages in the story and longed to write them in this sinister and treacherous song. Whenever the songstress performed this composition live, she would recite the words very slowly and precisely so that the audience would understand her message. But no one did. At least that's what she said. Join us as we delve into a mesmerizing journey through the rabbit hole of time, exploring a mind-altering dimension of music and bold rock artistry as we decode a song that has more mystery and enchantment than any song has a right to have. The story unfolds next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember shoving your grubby little hands in the cereal box to find that prize at the bottom, you're gonna dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now, click the red button, click the bell so you always know when our latest interviews are coming out. We also have a Patreon, check us out there. That helps us keep it a daily channel. So in 1971, Marty Balin, the rhythm guitarist and vocalist at Jefferson Airplane, the group he co-founded with Paul Kantner, left the band less than a year before its complete disintegration in 1972. When questioned about the band's meteoric rise in 1967 and its abrupt descent a few years later, Balin didn't mince words. The band's double platinum breakthrough single, White Rabbit, that played a dual role as both hero and villain. For those intertwined with love, peace, and LSD, White Rabbit became an anthem that was, in Marty's words, timely for the era. The song encapsulated the myth, the concept, and the influence of acid during a transformative period of American history. And one pill makes you small. The song takes its inspiration, of course, from the imagery presented in Lewis Carroll's 1865 book, Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. Also its 1871 sequel, Through the Looking Glass, incorporating themes of curiosity, altered reality, and a sense of the fantastical. White Rabbit captivated the baby boomer generation, fostering a profound connection with the song. It seemed to evoke a distorted perception of time and elicit heightened emotional experiences when they listened to it. Grace Barnett Wing became Grace Slick when she married cinematographer, director, and musician Jerry Slick. Grace was brought up in an affluent suburban residence in Palo Alto, California, approximately 30 miles south of San Francisco. Coming of age in the 50s, an era when societal expectations for women leaned towards conformity and aspirations of becoming, let's just say, domesticated, Grace Slick emerged as the quintessential nonconformist who really rebelled against all those norms. Upon witnessing a rising act called Jefferson Airplane performing at the Matrix in San Francisco in 1965, Grace became captivated by this band's onstage presence, solidifying her determination to become a rock star. So when Balin and Kantner formed Jefferson Airplane, they actually sought a female lead singer, and they discovered a great one in Signe Totley Anderson. She was a highly regarded jazz and folk singer within the San Francisco music scene. She lent her vocals to the self-titled debut. But then several things became an issue. One, she didn't trust the manager of the band, a guy named Matthew Katz. And two, she had a baby about 6 months into her tenure, and she needed to take care of her infant. And it was pretty tough. After a disastrous performance of the Monterey Jazz Festival, she and the band parted ways. So the first singer the band asked to replace Signe was another local singer, a folk singer named Sherry Snow. But as fate would have it, she quickly declined. Signe's successor for the Airplane was already in the wings, though, just waiting for the invitation. It was future Hall of Famer Grace Slick. She was chomping at the bit for a change. She was the lead vocalist of a band called The Great Society, And she found inspiration after attending one of the early Jefferson Airplane performances, like I said. It appeared predestined that she would not only become the front woman for Jefferson Airplane, but also an icon for an entire generation. Jack Cassidy, Paul Kantner, and Marty Balin, they were enamored with Grace's singing style. In their quest to replace Signe, they sought a more assertive vocalist. Grace possessed a unique timbre that gave her voice just a distinctive quality. The guys also appreciated how Grace connected with the audience. Standing at the edge of the stage, she maintained eye contact through an entire performance. Grace Slick brought more than swagger and fearlessness to Jefferson Airplane, though. She also brought two interesting compositions that were originally recorded by the Great Society. One of those songs was the Great Society's only single, Somebody to Love. Don't you want somebody to love? Actually written by Grace's brother-in-law, Darby Slick, before he quit the music business back in 1966. The band thoroughly embraced Somebody to Love and reimagined the song with a Jefferson Airplane flair, infusing it with more aggression, a more aggressive vocal from Grace for sure. This revamped version served as the lead single from Surrealistic Pillow, marking the debut of Jefferson Airplane with Grace Slick and becoming the breakthrough hit for the band. It went all the way to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. You better find somebody to love. Now, the second song from the Great Society that Grace brought to her new band was one that she'd actually written herself. It was a track titled White Rabbit, today's song. And if you go chasing rabbits. The Great Society was only a unit for about a year. Their founder, David Miner, wrote all of their early material, which fueled the ire of Jerry Slick, Grace's husband. Jerry actually yelled at his bandmates with a challenge. What are you going to do? Have David write all the songs? Do something. This challenge prompted Darby to write Somebody to Love and Grace to write White Rabbit. White Rabbit was inspired by her experience with taking LSD and listening over countless hours to Miles Davis's album Sketches of Spain, especially the opening track. The Spanish beat that she created was actually influenced by Ravel's dark seduction piece Bolero. White Rabbit was crafted as a tribute to the pursuit of curiosity, and with the White Rabbit embodying that sense of inquisitiveness. In the 60s, Grace and her contemporaries regarded drugs as a way to broaden the mind and explore social experimentation. The song's enigmatic lyrics positioned it among the first to subtly integrate drug references that would slip past radio censors. And you just had some kind of mushroom. In interviews, Grace revealed that Alice in Wonderland was a recurring bedtime story during her childhood. It left a lasting impact that would extend into her adult years. Grace conveyed that the White Rabbit aimed to function as a wake-up call for parents who introduced their children to novels like Lewis Carroll's 1865 classic adventures of Alice in Wonderland, and then questioned why their children turned to drugs. Similar to numerous young musicians in San Francisco, Grace Slick experimented with drugs, and she detected an abundance of drug references in Lewis Carroll's book, including the smoking caterpillar, there was the mushroom, and various other trippy images. As we know, Lewis Carroll was on something when he wrote this. Grace recognized that many children's stories incorporated a substance of some kind that alters reality. She felt compelled to write a song about this. Grace found the character of Alice appealing because she wasn't the stereotypical damsel in distress. Alice charted her own course to satisfy her curiosity, even in challenging situations. Reflecting on the narrative of White Rabbit, Grace observed that typical fairy tales often depict a Prince Charming, coming to the rescue, but Alice, in contrast, navigated a strange world on her own. Despite the challenges, Alice pressed on, fueled by her curiosity, symbolized by the White Rabbit. Grace Slick highlighted the empowering message for women, or really you could say independence, emphasizing how the story encourages pushing one's agenda. Regarding the line "feed your head" in the song, Grace clarified it referred to both reading and psychedelics, urging people to nourish their minds by paying attention, whether through literature or, mindful exploration. Grace Slick has expressed frustration, deep frustration, that some listeners misinterpreted White Rabbit, despite her efforts to clearly communicate the meaning. In her comments featured in the 2016 book Anatomy of a Song, she remarked, and I quote, "I always felt like a good-looking school teacher singing White Rabbit. I'd sing the words slowly and precisely so that people who needed to hear them, they wouldn't miss the point. But they did." To this day, I don't think most people realize the song was aimed at parents who drank glasses of scotch and told their kids not to do drugs. Grace Slick felt that those parents were hypocrites. Mother gives you, don't do anything. White Rabbit starts in F sharp minor, a choice that Grace made to complement her vocal range. The use of minor chords at the beginning creates a sense of darkness and uncertainty, effectively mirroring Alice's experience in a peculiar world. It's very treacherous, it's very sinister. Now, as we continue to break down the song, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. Zenni rocks. I wear these things all the time. They're comfortable, they're stylish, and you can design your own pair at Zenni, or at our info button right here. You can do a virtual try-on to see how you look before you buy. Check it out today. Get up to 80% off regular retail prices at our special link. Transitioning to major chords during the Go Ask Alice section symbolizes a shift to celebrate Alice's courage and resourcefulness as she navigates through the exciting but really frightening unknown. Go ask Alice. In a post she made in 2022, Grace tweeted that she penned White Rabbit on a vintage red upright piano. She actually bought it for $50. Despite missing 8 or 10 keys in the upper register, she didn't mind as she could mentally fill in the absent notes, creating something unusual set to a dark, Spanish-sounding march that was in line with the vibe of 60s San Francisco. It appeared that every musician was attempting to freak people out just to shock the status quo. Jefferson Airplane recorded White Rabbit with Grace on vocals, Jorma Kaukonen on lead guitar, Paul Kantner on rhythm, Jack Cassidy on bass, and Spencer Dryden on drums. The recording was a product of sessions to create material for Jefferson Airplane's seminal LP, Surrealistic Pillow, a title that was an off-the-cuff remark by Grateful Dead legend Jerry Garcia. As per Grace Slick's memoir, the album title originated when Marty Ballin played the completed studio tapes for Garcia. His initial response was, sounds like a surrealistic pillow. Grace truly appreciated the ambiguity of the phrase surrealistic pillow, leaving the interpretation wide open to the beholder, whether it's about sleeping or being awake on the pillow, dreaming, or in a romantic mood. Jack Cassidy vividly remembers the day when Jefferson Airplane recorded White Rabbit at the RCA studios on Sunset and Ivar. This room was enormous, so the band essentially arranged the instruments in the middle of the room and played it live onto a 4-track. It was really straightforward to record. Jack initiated the song with a bass part similar to Ravel's Bolero, as Grace imagined it. Jack called the instrumental arrangement slow and slinky, creating the atmosphere the band desired. Has given you the Jefferson Airplane version was not nearly as trippy as the original recording by the Great Society, though. It was really just a whimsical cut that clocked in at 2 minutes and 30 seconds compared to the 6-minute version by the Great Society, so much shorter. When White Rabbit was mastered, surprisingly, the track was on the chopping block to be included on Surrealistic Pillow. The band doubted its release due to potential censorship. They were shocked when the song not only secured a spot on the album, but also became a cultural sensation. As the second single from the LP, dropping in June of '67, White Rabbit jumped to number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. It went to number 3 in the Netherlands and eclipsed the top of the pop charts in Canada, eventually selling more than 2 million units. Meanwhile, Surrealistic Pillow, with the musical and spiritual guidance by Jerry Garcia, it soared to number 3 on the Billboard album chart, and it went to number 1 in Canada. Your eyes, I say, your eyes may look like keys. The track achieved notoriety as the first pop song centered around the hallucinogenic experience to receive substantial airplay on mainstream radio. The soundtrack of The Summer of Love in 1967 perfectly encapsulates the free-spirited counterculture essence embodied by Jefferson Airplane's frontwoman, Grace Slick. No doubt about it. White Rabbit found its way into various films, including the Vietnam War movie Platoon, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, The Game starring Michael Douglas, and The Matrix Resurrections. It served as the theme song for the TV movie Go Ask Alice, appeared in the first episode of Stranger Things, the TV series Fringe, and was featured on an episode of The Sopranos. Chasing rabbits, and you know. White Rabbit has captured the imagination of a wide variety of artists who have given the song a different interpretation altogether. There's My Morning Jacket, The Damned, Patti Smith, Sleater Kinney, Joan Jett, and Pink. Those close to Grace Slick always pointed out her wonderful sarcastic wit, and anyone that came in contact with her quickly realized that she was a disruptive force of nature on stage and off. In 1968, she stirred controversy by appearing in blackface on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. So actually, President Richard Nixon's daughter, Tricia, and Grace Slick share an alma mater, Finch College. In 1969, Grace was invited to a White House tea party for alumni. Planning to bring anarchist Abby Hoffman as her escort, she intended to spike President Nixon's tea with 600 micrograms of LSD. However, the event was promoted as an all-ladies gathering, and Hoffman's presence in line that raised suspicions among White House security. Claiming to be Slick's bodyguard and escort, Abby Hoffman failed to convince security, who was insisting that the event was strictly for females. So in response, Hoffman hung a black flag with a multicolored marijuana leaf on the White House gate. Grace opted not to attend after Hoffman was denied entry, and both of them quickly retreated to a waiting car across the street. Slick later speculated that the invitation was extended because it was addressed to Grace Wing, which was her maiden name, and doubted she would have been invited if the Nixons would have known her true identity, as Grace Slick.
You and Tricia Nixon went to...
Yeah, somebody said she went to Finch.
Oh, no, I thought you were stating that.
When she's 10 feet tall.
Jefferson Airplane, they officially dissolved in 1972. Marty Ballin, who died in 2018, left the band in 71. He summed up the demise of the airplane with these words: "Fame alters your life. It's akin to imprisonment. It disrupted the band. Everyone became affluent, selfish, and self-centered, losing concern for the collective. That marked the beginning of the end. Subsequently, it was merely about work, indulging in the high life, and witnessing the band self-destruct, resting on its past achievements." End of quote. Pretty serious there. Despite his harsh critique of the fate that befell Jefferson Airplane, Marty was proud of Grace Slick's White Rabbit, consistently hailing the track as a masterpiece. It would be the last hit single Jefferson Airplane would ever have in that iteration. In the history of the rock era, Grace Slick is renowned as a rock and roll vocalist, standing among the pioneers of female rock stars alongside her contemporary Janis Joplin. Grace played a crucial role in shaping the perspective of rock music in the late 60s and beyond. Her unique vocal style and intrepid stage presence that left an indelible impact on fellow female performers, influencing artists like Stevie Nicks, Patti Smith, and Terry Nunn from Berlin. In '96, Grace, affectionately nicknamed the Chrome Nun by her good friend the late David Crosby, earned induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Jefferson Airplane. It's poetic that Grace was born in the year of the rabbit. Not only has White Rabbit become her signature song, it pays the bills as the song has generated the most royalties for Grace out of all of them. More than 2 decades ago, Grace experienced a devastating house fire that claimed most of her belongings. Miraculously, though, among the few items untouched by the flames was a ceramic white rabbit. Now, whether you consider her superstitious or not, Grace continues to surround herself with ceramic white rabbits throughout her house, many of them sent by devoted fans. And even though she left the music industry long ago, Grace continues to create art in distinctive style with her extraordinary paintings. Tell you what, feed your head, liberate your mind by checking out Grace Slick's artworks on her official site. I'll link to it below. And, follow her back down that fantastic rabbit hole. Thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about this amazing, treacherous, sinister song about Jefferson Airplane, Grace Slick. Let's celebrate here. One of the greatest female vocalists ever. What do you think about Jefferson Airplane? What are your memories? What are your thoughts on these songs? If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe below. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.